With so much news going on so many fronts, we've almost neglected the campaign news. So joining us now are CBS News political pros, Norah O'Donnell, our White House correspondent, John Dickerson, our political director. What's been happening out there, John?
Well, we've had all of these squalls, momentary stories that have flared up in the campaign race, but it's still a race between a president dragged down by a weak economy and a challenger who's got some trouble with his favorability ratings. Mitt Romney is not beloved by the electorate, but that's been changing a little bit. The Obama campaign's been working for months to lock in this impression of Mitt Romney, and it hasn't exactly been working. Their view is, in a weak economy where people are inclined to turn against a president they don't think is doing a good job on the economy, they need to make Romney objectionable. But if you look at Romney's favorability ratings, according to Gallup and some other polls as well, in February, 39% had an unfavorable view of him. 39% had a favorable view, 49% unfavorable. That number now is 50% have a favorable view, 41% unfavorable. So things are going better for Romney. Why? Rick Santorum dropped out of the race. Romney's numbers have been steadily increasing. Now, this is despite all the attacks by the Obama campaign. So what's happened now is Mitt Romney is kind of seen as the okay alternative, or is starting to be seen as that, and the Obama team has to make that stop.
So what's happening over at the White House?
Well, I think that's why you saw this first scrimmage, really, where the Obama team launched the offensive to define and discredit Mitt Romney, to portray him as an empty suit when it comes to being a businessman, why they went after his record, not as a job creator, but as a job destroyer. I'm told they're going to continue this assault. They're going to double down on this assault with new ads. They barely spent any money on this one ad, but they got a lot of play from everybody else. They were able to generate the discussion. This is, if the Obama team cannot succeed in painting Mitt Romney as an empty suit, then they will lose this election because they want to use it to distract from this whole record about Obama as president.
Wasn't it amazing? I mean, I thought it fairly amazing, this whole idea of this campaign that one of the consultants came up with to try to replow this business and tie President Obama more to Jeremiah Wright, and they said right up front in the presentation they made to do it in a way that John McCain wouldn't let us do. I mean, this thing was really shaping up as even too nasty for today's politics. Romney said, no, thank you, I want no part of it.
Right. I mean, the campaigns basically try and do character assassination and make it look like a natural death with their opponents. And this is a case where the character assassination came out right into the open. There was no relationship here between Romney and this group that was noodling this idea. But what used to happen when you were a candidate was that people who gave you money, had a lot of money to put in the party, they'd give you their crazy ideas at a fundraiser and you'd smile and then you'd move on. Well, now they have $10 million and they can put it on the air, and this was just too hot for Romney. They distanced themselves, which was a signal not only to this group not to run these ads, but also to any other Republican, because while this is something that is believed by certain members of the Republican Party, those members of the Republican Party have gathered around Mitt Romney. He doesn't need to worry about them. But it turns off those moderate voters in the middle who see this as having nothing to do with the economy, who see it as character assassination, who see it as race baiting, and Romney doesn't want to mess with that.
Norah, the White House is really going after Governor Romney on this whole business of being from Bain Capital. What's that all about? Is that going to work?
Well, I think it remains to be seen how Mitt Romney responds. I mean, he did not respond very heavily this week. They're going to continue these ads. They're going to use different companies, not just this steel company that was of news in the last week. Mitt Romney, I know, called this character assassination, but the Obama team wants to show that this is more of a self-inflicted wound, that Romney is taking credit for creating jobs, but actually what the business did was invest in companies that created jobs, and then there were also some failures. So I think there's, this is going to be part of what they're going to do. I think what they were surprised to find this week, those poll numbers that John mentioned, where Romney's favorability ratings have gone back up. Romney's fundraising numbers were extremely strong this past month. So it's going to be a very tight race.
This is a message not only to make Romney's #1 pitch, I'm a business guy, to make that a liability for him, but it's also for the president to argue, look, in this time of scarcity, in this time where we're going to make huge choices, I've got your back. He doesn't have your back. And Joe Biden was in the eastern part of Ohio this week, making the same kind of pitch, saying he's not one of us, arguing that Biden is a middle-class Joe from his humble roots, and that he understands. And that's what this ad is also showing. If you look at this ad, which, as Norah said, didn't run in many places, it's got all blue-collar men in it. This is a group the president hasn't done well with, but it's also a group and Democrats in general haven't done well with, but it's also a group that Mitt Romney is going to have trouble with. And the pitch to them is also here, they're trying to organize voters and get them to come to the polls. That's where we are in this race. And this is a pitch to those union workers saying, hey, the Democrats have your back and this businessman doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying this, you know, the economy, presumably, in his business record should be his pitching arm, right? And essentially, the president wants to sideline him for the rest of the season and tear that apart.
And we see from the first ad Romney put out this week, very positive, and it's I'm Mr. Fix-It. On my first day in office, I'm going to reform the tax code, I'm going to get rid of the Obama health care plan,
Keystone Pipeline.
I'm going to approve the Keystone Pipeline. It's all going to happen lickety-split. What's interesting is two of those things will probably require Democratic votes. And in this town, I'm not sure that's going to happen.
All right. Well, thanks to both of you.